What is going on, everybody? Tyler Brand back here with another video on the eve of the regular season, the day before the Patriots take on the Miami Dolphins, and all this counts for real. What better way to kick off this weekend, a great football weekend, than to kind of wrap up the week and my thoughts about the Patriots in 2021. I'll give you a little bit of a schedule breakdown, the final standings in the AFC East, at least in my opinion, talk about a couple things from the team, and just kind of go from there. Put a nice little bow on this off-season week after I missed a bunch of time, but we'll put a final bow on this off-season week. Tomorrow we'll have a little bit of a pregame with the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots, and we'll watch some freaking football for the first time, some Patriots football for the first time since January, which is always great. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Some 2021 AFC East standings and a final wrap-up of the team this year and what my expectations are. Let's get it. So this season, I have the New England Patriots. I've gone anywhere. I mean, I think if Mac Jones hits right away, I think this team can win 10, 11, 12 games. I think that's definitely possible. I think this season could offensively be really rough. I could see New England winning as little as 7 games. The final number that I have them at this season is 8-9. I kind of have been trending this way if you've been paying attention to the videos. I overrated New England a little bit last year. I thought they were a playoff team. I was obviously wrong. So I have to kind of, for my own accountability, got to be brutally honest with where I think this team is. Rookie quarterback, there's going to be growing pains. They do have a tough schedule. There is some really, really tough games on the schedule. And I think it could be a little bit of a bumpy road. The Miami trip in Week 17, which we'll talk about when I run through the schedule, that could be something that haunts New England, that costs them a playoff spot. So let's kind of break down week by week what my thoughts are, just quickly on each game going through the regular season. So they start the season with the Miami Dolphins. Spoiler alert, I think they beat the Dolphins in the home opener. It's going to be absolutely electric this week when all the fans come back into the stadium. I think both of these teams are in the same place relatively with kind of where their teams are at. For me, this is another audition year for Tua. I don't think he really showed me anything substantial last year, and kind of being the opener and then pulling him for Fitzpatrick and kind of switching places last year didn't do much for him. So I do think the Patriots win their home opener. Then they go to the Jets in Week 2. Robert Saleh has New England's number. He absolutely torched that team in Foxborough last year when the San Francisco 49ers came over. So I do think the Jets still won there. Zach Wilson's showing a lot of promise early. That team is not as bad as people make them out to be. I think this is going to be a very promising year for the Jets, just like it will be for New England, especially in terms of a rookie quarterback. So I think they lose to the Jets Week 2. Then they come back home. New Orleans comes in, and I don't think they can beat New Orleans. I'm not confident they can beat New Orleans. Jameis looks good. Sean Payton, they always play New England tough. I think that's going to be a very tough game, especially with the Bucs looking at them next week. Potential trap game scenario. So I think they lose to the Saints and the Bucs. They start 1-3 right there. That could get a little scary. Then they go to Houston, which is a nice little reprieve. They get back to 2-3. Dallas next week, I think they lose to Dallas, and then they split with the Jets. So it's another win and another loss there. After that, they go to LA to play the Chargers. They historically have run roughshod over the Chargers, so I think they beat the Chargers there. Then they go to Carolina. I'm not really confident that Carolina can do much against New England. Sam Darnold has been absolutely stifled by New England's defense, so I think they'll get a win there. Then they go back home, play Cleveland. Cleveland is probably the most talented team on paper, at least up there with the Chiefs in the AFC. I don't think they can beat Cleveland. Then a quick Thursday night turnaround, and that is in Atlanta against an Atlanta team that I don't really know what to think of. I mean, they have the talent offensively to be a good team. I'm very excited to see Kyle Pitts. I think it's going to be a fun season for Atlanta. But I think that New England should get the better of them, especially Belichick against a rookie head coach. I would give them a win against Atlanta. They come back home to play the Tennessee Titans. I don't think they can beat the Titans. They go on the road to Buffalo on Monday Night Football in December 6th. Cold, windy, brutal Buffalo with a great Buffalo team. I don't think they could beat them on Monday Night Football. Then they go into the bye. They come out of the bye at Indy. Again, historically a team they've dominated. Off a bye, I like them at Indy this season. They go back home to play Buffalo again. A huge game. I think they'll have a shot at Buffalo depending on what Mac Jones is in his rookie year. He's going to have to be able to move the ball against Buffalo. Being at home is going to help. But at the end of the day, I just don't see them beating Buffalo. Buffalo, again, is a far superior team right now than New England. And that's unfortunately, just the kind of the thick of it. And then they have Jacksonville at home, the last home game of the regular season, a game I expect them to win. And then finally, I think this game will be what decides who goes into the playoffs if a team from the AFC East is going. And that is going to be the Miami trip in Week 17, which has been historically a nightmare for New England. And I think it would again be a nightmare for New England because I think in the Miami trip, they lose that game, and I think that can cost them a shot at the playoffs this season. My final standings for the AFC East in 2021, I have in 4th place the New York Jets, 7-10. I like Zach Wilson. I like the staff there. I think they're going to start building this thing up and doing it the right way. They're still a year or two out, but I do think they're finally putting the right pieces together. I am a believer in Joe Douglas. I think he's building this thing the right way again. In 3rd place, I have to be brutally honest with myself this season as a fan of the Patriots, and I think they're going to finish in 3rd. I think they're 8-9, maybe 9-8, but my final prediction would be 8-9. I think that they split with every team in the division, maybe not Buffalo, but I think they do end up splitting with the Jets and the Dolphins. That Week 17 game in Miami, I think, is going to be a heartbreaking loss for New England, and I think it's going to keep them out of the playoffs. And then on the contrary to that, Miami Dolphins, I have them in 2nd place. They're a 10-7 team. They beat New England to get into the playoffs on that last week. I trust Tua marginally more than I trust Mac Jones, but it just seems like Miami gives New England fits. It seems like, if anything, that team is a little bit more put together. We know what we've seen from that team. They were good last year. They were competitive last year, and I think they build on that. And then finally, in 1st place, the Buffalo Bills. They're miles better than these other three, at least in the 2021 season. Even if they're due for a little bit of a regression, I don't think it's enough of a regression that would cost them anything major. I think they're still the best team in the AFC East by far. They'll probably end up being one of the top 2 seeds. If not the 1 seed, they're good enough to do it. So that's kind of how I see the AFC East laying out this season. Just some quick hits going into the season. I do believe in Mac Jones. I think he is the guy. I agree with Cam Newton, as we were talking about yesterday. I do believe he can win some games, and I do think he is going to be the guy for the New England Patriots for the foreseeable future. Do I think he could do it his rookie year? I'm not too confident. There's a lot of rookie growing pains. Living in New York, I have a lot of friends that are Giants and Jet fans, and I've watched it a lot. I've watched rookie quarterbacks go through a lot of growing pains, and I think it'll be the same. I think it'll be a fun experience and a different experience to watch it, but I do think he's the guy, although he's got to learn, he's got to grow. I think in 2021, this group, the way they're going to win games is by being overly physical and more physical than their opponent. On both sides of the ball, I think the trenches are going to have to win most of these games, especially in the early going without Stephen Gilmore. They're going to have to dominate time of possession. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to be effective on the ground to win games, especially against better teams, teams that can really dot you up like the Buccaneers. Like in previous seasons, I think the pass defense will be fine. J.C. Jackson is an absolute star. John Jones is great. Kyle Duggar, I'm interested to see, the improvement there. As long as Devin McCourty is still back there at safety, I think everything, for the most part in the secondary, will be pretty spick and span. I do think, however, Gilmore missing the first 6 weeks of the game, specifically looking at games against the Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys, him not being there will cost that team wins. And I think him, not a knock on him or not angry at him, but him being on the PUP list and out for the first 6 weeks, I think is absolutely going to cost them a couple of very big wins that they're going to need at the end of the season. So I do think, again, the pass defense will be great. I think they'll have a great pass rush. I think that is going to be an absolute surprise to a lot of people, especially people outside of the New England area. Matt Judon, I think, is going to be an absolute beast. Christian Barmore as a pass rusher. Chase Winovich as a pass rusher. Kyle Van Noy. I mean, they have a ton of them. I think they're going to find a ton of different ways to get after the quarterback and disrupt the passing game. That's what I can't wait most. That's what I most can't wait to see about this defense going into this season. Matt Judon will be the best player on the defense, in my opinion. I think he'll be able to do things in the pass game. He'll be an excellent pass rusher. He'll be very good against the run. He is a very good defender overall. And especially without Gilly, I think he'll be able to shine, and we'll be able to watch him shine, especially against some good offenses. I do think, again, kind of like a lot of other years, the run defense is going to be a little suspect, and I think that is going to lead to some losses, particularly against the Cleveland Browns, against the Tennessee Titans, teams that can really run the ball. I think if Carolina can get Christian McCaffrey going early, I think that could be scary. Carolina's also had New England's number. So I do think that the run defense could be an issue. It's a little bit of a red flag going into this season. Finally, on the offensive side of the ball, Damian Harris will be the MVP of this offense. They will go as he goes. I am all in on him being an absolute star running back. I think he's going to be very good. And the hidden MVP, I guess, because Damian Harrison can't be an MVP if it's not for the true heroes of this team, and that is the offensive line. I think the offensive line is going to be great. They're going to have to be great for New England to win games. Specifically, the interior part of that offensive line, Michael Onwenu, David Andrews, and Shaq Mason. I think they're absolutely going to dominate in the trenches against most teams, and they're going to create holes and lanes and opportunities for Damian Harris to really shine, and that is going to be how the Patriots, again, are going to win games, or how I think they're going to have to win games in 2021. What are your thoughts about my predictions? Anything, leave it down in the comments below. What are some of your predictions for the Patriots? Leave it down again in the comments below. Once again, I'm Tyler Brandt. The next time you see me, we'll be talking game day. We'll be preparing for the Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. Get at me on Twitter at the Tyler Brandt, on Instagram at Talking Pats. Let's chop it up, Patriots football. And I'll see you tomorrow for Patriots football. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. Talk to you tomorrow.